ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ
733253
733
253
253. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. అందరూ ఉన్నారు. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So it's my bad again. Okay, let's start off. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Now we'll do the prayers. I'll share the prayers now. So please mute and do the prayers. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namaha Pankajanabhaya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurahi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, welcome everyone to the session today. So, we are doing Bhagavatam actually today. So, who want to guess what is the why? Okay, that's fine. So, what is the guess what we are going to talk today? Except Sudhir, I don't know anyone knows about it. So, so right now we are at a cusp, right? A big cusp of technology revolution, right? Right. So, what we are going to talk about today is cusp of kalpa revolution, right? One kalpa and another kalpa, what happens? Inundation happens, that they call pralaya, right? So, what we are going to talk is about that, and it was a very nice sequel to the previous session we did in Srini's house, where we talked about what we have. We have 4 yugas, right? 4 yugas called together forms one Chatur Yuga, it's called, and then Sahasra means thousands of those is one Kalpa, right? And at the end of one Kalpa, what happens? The whole everything inundates. Means it's a pralaya, it's called pralaya, and then the new kalpa starts, right? What is the demarcation for that? That is one day, that whole thousand chatur yugas is equal to one day of Brahma. So, when Brahma falls asleep, then that's when pralaya happens. Okay. So, now we are going to talk about it. Let's read couple of verses, because it's complete 2 chapters. We cannot cover 2 chapters. We'll just go a little bit of an overview, and we'll just read 1 or 2 verse, 1 verse maybe.
How many kalpas happened so far? I think there was some number.
Yeah, I don't know.
Still on the first day of Brahma, or we don't know that.
I am not aware of that, but we have still within this kalpa, within this yuga of Kali Yuga, we have still 450,000 years for this Kali Yuga to finish. So, after this Kali Yuga finishes, then all the 4 again start, right? And then like that, when you have 1,000 of them, I am not sure which number we are on right now, and then the next kalpa starts. So, are you all able to hear me online?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Let me. Okay. The Lord's fish incarnation. This chapter describes the Supreme Personal Godhead's incarnation as a fish, and it also describes the saving of Maharaj Satyavrata from an inundation. Okay. The Supreme Person, okay, let's read the translation directly instead of the whole thing. Maharaj Parikshit said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is eternally situated in his transcendental position, yet he descends to this material world and manifests himself in various incarnations. His first incarnation was that of a great fish. O most powerful Sukadev Goswami, I wish to hear from you the pastimes of that fish incarnation. What was the purpose for which the Supreme Person Godhead accepted the abominable form of a fish? Exactly as an ordinary living being different forms under the laws of karma, the form of a fish is certainly condemned, and full of terrible pain. O my Lord, what was the purpose of this incarnation? Kindly explain this to us. For hearing about the pastimes of the Lord is auspicious to everyone. So Suta Goswami said, when Parikshit Maharaj thus inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, that most powerful saintly person began describing the pastimes of the Lord's incarnation as a fish. So just before we go ahead, see, when we as regular human beings or a living being take different forms, right? Before taking the human form, maybe we had a cow form or some other animal form, right? Why we are having those forms? Because in order to fulfill our karma, right, from the previous past lifetimes, right? That is, when we take a particular form of life, that is the reason why we take. But when Krishna takes the form, it is not for that reason, because he is transcendental. He is the creator, he is the cause of all cause, etc. He is doing for a reason. He is trying to help someone, maybe humanity or the whole world or the devotees, or to protect dharma. It could be so many reasons. Like remember, we saw Krishna appeared as Varaha to protect Mother Earth and the whole from Hiranyaksha. And then later he appeared as Narasingha to protect Prahalad Maharaj and the devotees and to annihilate Hiranyakashipu. So like that, he is taking different forms for protecting his devotees or dharma. So that is what is clarified there. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, so which we did miss earlier, we never talked about it. Now he is talking about to protect the Vedic literature also. Religious principles and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Person Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. Like the air passing through different types of atmosphere, the Supreme Person Godhead, although appearing sometimes as a human being and sometimes as a lower animal, is always transcendental, because he is above the material modes of nature. He is unaffected by higher and lower forms. So remember, we discussed in one of the classes, we have all these, we all are like, we have these qualities of three modes of material nature, just like, but they are not absolute, right? They are not pure, they are hybrid. Just like we have the RGB, the primary colors, and all the colors we see today are a combination of these. Similarly, our life is mixed with all these three material modes in different proportions at different times. But when you are conscious, when you are trying to take the shelter of Krishna and intentionally work on it, you can employ these three modes with a higher purpose. Suppose your higher purpose is devotion to Krishna. Go back to Godhead, become pure. Become pure means become eligible to go back to Godhead. All these things, when you have all these things and at the same time take the shelter of Krishna, what happens? You are not under the material modes of nature. Rather, you employ them, because you cannot avoid them. Right? Just like in cricket match, what happens? Many people, I remember my days, maybe you can calculate my age by that. Vengsarkar was very popular for square cuts, right? Remember? He was very good. So basically, he is not going straight in front of the ball using all his power like Kapil Dev to hit a six. He is just using the already the velocity of the ball to just square cut, just least effort, he is getting a 6 or 4, right? So similarly, for us, we cannot avoid these three material modes of nature, nor we can oppose it. Means you can't oppose them, nor you can avoid them. So what do? We take the Vengsarkar technique, right? For taking the Vengsarkar technique, what we have to do? We have to take the shelter of Krishna. We have to be in the devotional mode. We have to have that higher purpose. Then you will be able to do that. You will be able to employ those modes than becoming a victim of those modes. Okay. Now what we will do is, we can't go all the verses, I believe. So I will stop my sharing and we will try to go in a more story format now. What happened, why it happened. Okay. When we have questions, we can refer to these. So, there are two things that happened, right? And this particular Matsavatar is, and this not only Matsavatar, this whole scenario is special compared to many other situations where Krishna appeared, right. Here, first thing is when Brahma fell asleep. Okay. What happened? First thing, what happens when you fall asleep in a train? In India, you are traveling in a train and you fall asleep. You are sitting there and you have to fall asleep. After you wake up, do you know whether your wallet is there, whether your bag is there? You don't know. If you are lucky, it will be there, otherwise, no. Right? That is the exact same thing happened. All the 4 Vedas were stolen when you fall asleep. Okay. Now, the question is, who is that person who stole? Right? It was Hayagriva. Hayagriva. Okay. Hayagriva was the son of Diti and Kashyapa. Meaning at some point he was brother of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Right. So, he was very powerful, very, very powerful. Okay. And legs, hands of a human and head of a horse. Okay. Hayagriva. He was very powerful. So, and he never believed in devotion. He always believed, just like the previous step of the way Gajendra believed in his strength, right? Balam and Balagam, right? You remember? So, your strength and your relatives and kith and kin, right? He believed in them, right? Similarly, this Hayagriva believed in his strength. He was having immeasurable strength. There was no one who can oppose him. In addition to that, he did a huge penance and he got a nice like what you call boon from Mother Parvati, I believe, that no one can kill him. So, Mother Parvati said that is against the law of life, that I cannot give that boon. So, he only asked anyone who is in exactly same form as me, only that person can kill me, no one else can kill me. So, that was the power he had. He was even all the demigods, just like Hiranyakashipu was easily able to defeat all the demigods like Indra and everyone. Same thing with Hayagriva. All these, and he used to live in the water kind of. So, he was very, very powerful. Let me open my notes a little bit so that I do not miss them, miss points. Okay. So, now, so what we learned so far, general knowledge about kalpas and all, and then next question what we learned is Hayagriva was having complete faith on his strength. Okay, he was having too much pride, meaning humility is not there, devotion is not there. So, it is not merely strength about the flood or dramatics from one. So, his mother tries to convince him a lot, Diti, saying that bhakti, devotion is important, okay, and surrendering to Krishna you can get anything. But he always said that no, that is all a story, so that you can always be under them. Okay. That is what his thing is. The reason why I am repeating this again and again is, at times we also become like that. Like say for example, today promotion, you got a promotion, you got felicitated in a gathering and all those things, then what happens is eventually you will forget what you are not grounded on the fact. You will be thinking what people are treating you like. which is a big trap, right. First thing is we should not get proud by ourselves, and the other thing is we should not lose ground or reality when people are appreciating you a lot or flattering you or feliciting you. That is the typical thing that happens to a common man. That is like a fallacy, right. We should not fall into that. So now what happened to, what was Hayagriva doing? He stole them, okay. He stole them and he put it in a very secret place somewhere, in his own world, okay, and no one can even reach that place because he is protecting it himself. This all happened in Swayambhu Manu's time, right. We read that in the past, that for every kalpa there is one Manu, is the heading that, right. That was at the time of Swayambhu. So now there were the huge task here now is that, and is one who no one else is able to have the ability to protect those Vedas from him. Krishna has to do it, right, or Lord Vishnu has to protect. He has taken that responsibility, and also this is the time when he is falling asleep, right, meaning whole pralaya is going to happen. So he has to protect the world from this pralaya also. So two responsibilities compared to the previous ones, where you have to either kill Ravana or the kill Kamsa or So now what he did is he took two forms. He took two avatars. One is he took the form of exactly like how Hayagriva looks, and second thing is that is to protect the Vedas, and second thing is he took the Matsya avatar, so that he can take the, he can protect the whole what is called the life. He protect life, the life, plants, animals, humans, everyone, right. So that is what he did. So now we will talk a little bit about how Matsya Avatara started. So it seems there was a very virtuous king, and that reminds me of basically Janaka Maharaj, who is a Raja Rishi. So he was a Raja Rishi who Satyavrata Raj, king Satyavrata. So all these people, all these virtuous kings and who are very like a Raja Rishis, they used to do Sandhya Vandam, morning, afternoon and evening, 3 times they used to do. So he went in the morning to offer the prayers at the river, and then when he took the water and he was putting down, then he saw a small fish in his hands. Then he was about to slowly drop into the ocean or water body, and then the fish thought, my dear king, in this water body there are a lot of huge aquatic animals, okay. Please protect me. If you were not protecting me, they were going to consume me. Then Satyavrata Maharaj said, sure, it's my opportunity that I am able to help someone who is in need, right. That is how we have to perceive, right. So he takes the small fish and puts it in a small container in his kingdom, in his palace. He is happy to do that, and then he sees that in no time it goes a little bigger. So then he puts it in a little bigger container, and then he goes to bed, and morning, by the time he wakes up in the morning, he is seeing some sound. It's then he goes to the fish and sees that fish is again asking, Maharaja, this is also small for me, can you put me in a little bigger one? So he gives assurance that sure, I will take care of you, and he puts it in a little bigger one, and again in no time it grows further big. He puts it in a lake. That's also not sufficient, it grows overgrows that size. Then he puts in a huge river. Then he sees that is also, it's becoming short for it. Then he had to go and put it in a ocean. And at that time he realizes that he prays to the fish, saying that you are not an ordinary fish, you are God, maybe you are Lord Vishnu yourself. Maybe you came here to give me some message or some information, what it is, please let me know. Okay. Then the fish talks to him, he shows the whole Lord Vishnu form, and it tells that, so this is the time of pralaya. Okay. And in 7 days, this pralaya, the whole world is going to get inundated into water. Okay. And the message here for you is that you have to gather a huge ship. Okay. And just like we remember in the children's, as a child, we were talking to Noah's Ark. Remember Noah's Ark, where you get the every seeds, plants, animals, everything you have to protect, right? So you gather all of them, okay, along with your wife and yourself, good self, and Saptarishis, okay, and some key important people to preserve the dharma. You do all those things, and I will go get Vedas, because Vedas need to be protected as well. Okay. You prepare for these, and we will start the journey. And then here, the important point to take away is when an instruction comes from the Supreme through his Shastras or through a spiritual guru, what you do? You are curious and try to follow them, but you don't question them. Right? So, because here Satyavrata Muni did not question anything, but he was sure that it was Lord Vishnu. Okay. Now it means when someone comes in disguise like some form and say that I am telling this, I am a sannyasi, listen, you don't have to. You have to first make sure that he is the right sannyasi, authentic sannyasi, and then after that you have to follow like what Satyavrata Muni did. That is one lesson to learn from here. Right? So once that happens, and then Satyavrata Muni is completely busy with preparing that huge ship with all these things. He has gathered all those things, right? He is taking the help of his minister, his citizens to prepare for it. He sends a message to Saptarishis also. Saptarishis are very like powerful. Probably they are already noticed about it, they are aware of it, and they are already coming to him, right? So, and parallelly what happens now is he takes the form of a Hayagriva, not form of Hayagriva, a form which looks Hayagriva. So basically you have a Hayagriva demon and a Hayagriva god, both. So you have both. Then that will be a lot of, because Hayagriva himself is also very powerful. So then finally he kills him. Okay, he kills him, and then he takes the he steals the not steals, sorry, he gets back the Vedas, okay, and takes him to the so in this whole thing let us read. It's like a story is quick, but we will try to now go through each of the aspect and try where we have some lessons to learn.
So the fish farm is because the Vedas are hidden in, or how are
No,
these
no,
two?
no, because well, the only water is there. There is no land anywhere, or there is land, but there is only a small piece of land. There is one mount. Let's see whether I can't recollect the name. There is a place. On place is there. Land is there. So and nowhere else. So the only media you can travel is through an aquatic animal. And it is said that Matsavatar was 8,000 million miles, it seems. Okay. So, but the same thing we have to consider, like what we learnt in Gajendra. When we said Gajendra was he fought for so many years, and there are so many thousands of elephants, it only means huge, massive. Here also, because you can ask me, oh, is Earth itself is 8,000 miles, right? We don't know. And that time it was the same Earth or something else, which world also we don't know. So, but what it means is beyond our imagination. So, the central lesson here is not simply that the demons stole sacred texts. The deeper lesson is about ownership of power. Okay. So, whatever power you have to stay grounded. Now, what is happening in all these Epstein files? You see, people whom we thought as role models are now all involved in the incident, right? So, whatever anyone, like whether even if a role model is telling something which doesn't abide by values, you should not go by it. So, what was the kind of thinking? Every form of power that a living being possesses, intelligence, strength, influence, position, learning, leadership, or talent, comes originally from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a jiva begins to think, the power is mine, I am independent, that illusion becomes the seed for the downfall. So, we should not have that, we should stay grounded, right. So, we have all of us sitting discussing these things. For some reason, if one of us get that ego that I am powerful, I am strong, the other should help us, remind us, so that we all stay grounded. Because the whole purpose of association is that, right. Hayagriva represents the mentality of enjoying power without gratitude, using strength without humility, treating knowledge as a tool for dominance. So, the consequence of such arrogance is not only personal destruction, it creates obstacles for the welfare of the entire world. So, in this case, what was not only he stole the sacred Vedas, what was in his mind? He said, now all this will be made available to all the rishis eventually, and I don't want a common man to become powerful. That was his thought process.
Why did he steal it?
Huh?
Why did he steal it? I mean, is there a reason why he stole it?
Yeah, that's what we are telling, right? So basically, Vedas, suppose Satish masters Vedas and applies them. Okay, if you master that and apply them, probably there will no person on this earth which is who is more powerful than you. Okay, that is the kind of rich text it is. Okay, so this who Hayagriva demon didn't want that to be reached to the normal person, nor to the demigods. So that's why he stole them. So what is that we learn from that? We learn from that is anything that you have to share. If you don't share, it means you are like a demon Hayagriva. Suppose you are learning something today in our session, you should go home, share with your wife, children, right? And then if you are interacting with your friends, you can tell them also, right? Which is good. If you keep it to yourself, there's no point. So this is, first thing is we should not hide it in such a way that no one gets it. We are not hiding it. And in addition to that, we are spreading it, which is really good. So the consequence of such arrogance is not only personal destruction, it creates obstacles for the welfare of the entire world. Because of his thing, what happened? The whole world was deprived of the Vedic scriptures. Power disconnected from devotion becomes dangerous, right? That is the reason whenever you have power, it becomes even more important for you to be in devotion and be grounded. Power connected to humility becomes service. So this is one, okay. Oh. So next, we already clarified that Hayagriva, we have two Hayagrivas, demon and God. The appearance of an ideal devotee. Who was Satyavrata king? We already talked about him, Raja Rishi and all, right? And now, what was the quality of Satyavrata that he, being a king, he took personal care, he heard and he showed empathy for the little fish. Will everyone do that? You go to a very senior person and ask him, okay, talk to my PA. So this reminds me of people like Tata and Abdul Kalam. They are very good role models, right? So he is portrayed as sincere, deeply receptive to the instructions of the Lord. When the Lord appears before him in the form of a small fish and later reveals his divine identity, Satyavrata is given specific instructions. A great flood will occur. He must prepare a boat or a ship. He must protect selected beings and sages. The remarkable quality of Satavrata is not strategy or political power. It is simple, steady obedience. He does not argue with the Lord. He does not demand full explanations how the plan will unfold. He does not delay action in the name of analysis. So, the spiritual lesson from this is a devotee does not need to understand the entire divine plan. All he needs to do is have complete faith and trust in the instructions of the Lord. A devotee only needs to trust the next instruction. In times of uncertainty, the safest intelligence is not personal calculation, but surrender to the guidance of the Bhagavan and Shastra. Now, the appearance of Matsya, the Lord's unlimited adaptability. The Lord first appears as a tiny fish and later expands to a magnificent and inconceivable. This transformation itself teaches an important truth. The Lord is not limited by environment, size, circumstance, or cosmic conditions, right? So, generally people say these days that, hey, if you have to survive in this economy, you need to have a big boss at your company, right? If you have some SVP or EVP whom you have confidence in that he is going to take care of you, then what will happen? You can work without insecurity, without problem of security, right? So, basically you will give your best then. Ideal top management is supposed to give that feeling to every employee, so that every employee gives their best, right? Now, that is only a company. A company stays, it closes, opens, again some other company opens, comes and goes. And we also same thing, right? We take birth, we get old, and then we leaves body, and again body comes back into another soul. So, what is important is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, the creator of everything. If we trust in Him completely, right, we do not have to feel insecure about our job or insecure about our life or our attachments, right, because if you trust in Him completely, everything falls in place. Okay. We may not perceive it as falling in place, but still it is falling in place. Just like a perfect example is about king, right? One king who lost the finger because of when the king and the minister goes to a forest in something, he loses a finger, and the minister says all for our good. But what does the king do? He puts him in the jail. But then later on, when he was caught alone in the forest, and they're preparing to offer him as a sacrifice to the god, then they say that one little finger is missing, so they'll let him go, right? So, we have to have the trust in the God that everything is happening for our good. The moment we lose trust, that is when the problems come. So, we have to, what is it called, these days so many tools are there, right, for monitoring and observability, so many tools are there these days, right? Dynatrace is one of them. And so, we have to have one tool within us. Am I losing? Whenever you feel little insecure, oh man, I lost trust, or somehow I forgot Krishna, right? It has to remind us. That is the only thing which helps us. So, that is very, very important. So, he adjusts his manifestation according to the new needs of his devotees and the requirements of the situation. See, once he is taken form of fish, sometimes he is taken in the form of kurma, sometimes he is taken of varaha, and another time as Narasimha. So, different forms he has taken, he does not have any limitation. For us, for a human to understand how human anatomy works, how the physiology works and treat, it has been many generations. That reminds me of again of we are in the ascending knowledge. Technology and humans are in the ascending knowledge scientifically, but Krishna's knowledge is descending, it is always perfect. So, Bhagavan is capable of acting in multiple ways, roles and forms simultaneously for different purpose. In one context, the Lord restores sacred knowledge. In another context, he protects his devotees. In yet another, he restores cosmic order. For the devotees, this gives immense reassurance. See, when we are listening to all those things, we have to take them not as literal, just like a story. We have to, that has to help us to understand to such an extent and realize that our trust and faith should improve day by day. For the devotee, this gives, and the Lord is never constrained by the complexity of the problem. Next is preservation of spiritual culture, the sages and the future of the world. Along with Satyavrata, the Lord ensures the protection of the great sages known as Rishis. This aspect of Leela is deeply significant because why? The Lord does not only rescue individuals, He protects the carriers of the spiritual civilization. So that is very, very important. By protecting the sages and the Vedic wisdom, the Lord ensures that the next creation is not merely biologically restored, but spiritually guided. See, basically, all those things which the seeds, the plants, the animals was to restore the biological life. How about the spiritual life? He has taken care by making sure that Saptarishis are also protected. So, the spiritual lesson from this aspect is that the survival of the human race is not the ultimate goal. The survival of dharma and bhakti is the real concern of the Lord. Dharma and bhakti is the real concern. So, what should we do? We should plead Krishna that let me be a tool, a small insignificant tool in that. Material civilization can be built with technology. Spiritual civilization can only realize the teachers and sacred knowledge. So far, we've been going fast. Any questions? Online, any questions? Rupesh, Madhu, Venkat?
So this one is which chapter? The Bhagavatam section?
Bhagavatam, this is Canto 8, chapters 24 and 25.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So next we'll go to the next section. Sorry. Okay. Protection and restoration of the Vedas. This is where the Hayagriva thing comes partially. Getting back from him, and then again that will be going on to the ship. So the central purpose of the Matsavatar is the recovery and protection of the Vedas from the demon. This shows something extremely important. The Lord protects knowledge before protecting comfort. The world can be flooded, cities can disappear, systems can collapse, but if the spiritual knowledge survives, genuine human life can be restored. So basically what it means is, most of the time people are working at the peripheral level, right? All this 911 you have or whatever, FEMA is also there, right? Is it there? Yeah. Or it has been closed? So all these things are, what are they covering? They are covering the human and the facilities during time of disaster or some hurricanes or something. But who is going to take care of spirituality? No one is going to take care. That is the reason Krishna is trying to help there. The Vedas are not saved for historical preservation or academic curiosity. They are saved because they guide living beings back to their true identity and their relationship with the Supreme Lord. So they are most important. Then you can ask me, why are we not reading Vedas? Because that's a different question, right? It's basically we are not reading Vedas right now because our human life in Kali Yuga is not enough to understand that. Neither we have the intelligence nor we can. So all that is condensed into Bhagavad Gita. And to relate to that, some Bhagavatam. Basically, Bhagavad Gita is the core essence, and then generally we are conditioned to understand through stories. So some real leelas of Bhagavatam, of Krishna, are in Bhagavatam. Knowledge must be shared, not hoarded. An especially relevant lesson for modern spiritual practitioners here. The demon Hayagriva hoards knowledge for power. So he's holding that for power. The devotees preserve knowledge for service. So we have to preserve the knowledge. He is holding the knowledge for power, and we have to preserve the knowledge for service. The Lord does not entrust the Vedas to one individual for personal benefit. He arranges that knowledge is preserved and carried forward through Satyavrata and Saptarishis so that the future generations can benefit. The spiritual lesson, spiritual knowledge is not private property. It's a response. When the Lord gives us understanding, scriptural access or realization is not meant only for our own liberation, it's meant to be shared, taught, and transmitted. In this way, every sincere teacher, speaker, and practitioner practices in the same divine intention shown in the Matsavatar Leela. So we should all try to practice these things, right? What do we practice? Whenever we hear one word from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we try to share with others. And not only just as a story, but we should try to assimilate what are the reasons, what are the takeaway points in my day-to-day behavior. Should I behave differently? Those things we have to learn, so that otherwise, say suppose I go and tell my son, or you go to a Christian, okay, so what they'll tell, right? So you have to understand the purpose of that. In what way it helps, that it is associated with dharma and bhakti. So now we have a little comparison. I have a comparison between Hayagriva, the Asura, and the Satyavrata, the devotee. So what does Hayagriva do? Uses strength for ego. What does Satyavrata do? Uses position for obedience. Hayagriva claims ownership of power, and Satyavrata acknowledges dependence on the Hayagriva is hoarding of knowledge, and whereas Satyavrata is preserving and transmission of knowledge. And Hayagriva becomes obstacle to dharma, whereas Satyavrata is an instrument of the Lord. The difference between them is not intelligence, opportunity, or capacity. The difference is in consciousness. So we should become conscious of that. So many times we try to draft an email to someone, or tell something. If suppose someone says something and you don't like it, you are obviously trying to respond or reciprocate to it. But if you give like a 10 seconds or 15 seconds gap, and then reword that whatever you're responding, that you will be able to communicate what you want to communicate in a very positive way. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Many times, like what I do is, when I have a question in the Slack to my colleague, while writing that, I get ideas that, oh, I didn't try this, let me try this, and it solves the problem. So that also helps, emphasizes the point that journaling helps. So you're writing something, means it's like journaling. So assume that you can have an agent eventually and try to type it, and then before you click send, you think about it. You also might get a answer to yourself. So the consciousness is important. The next one, central theological insight. All strengths belong to dash. Who's that? Okay, perfect. All strengths belong to Krishna. One of the deepest lessons of this Leela is the understanding of divine ownership. Whether one is a demon, a scholar, or a spiritual practitioner, all power ultimately belongs to the Supreme Lord. Even if someone is a great devotee, when he is not abiding by something, Krishna takes away the strength from them. When the truth is forgotten, arrogance develops. What is the truth? That everything is coming from Krishna, and everything what we have is rented. Right? A perfect example is if you live in a house in US, right? That's hardly yours. More 99% of the time it is belonging to the bank, right? So same is the case for us. All the strengths we have are lended to us from Krishna, right? The time we fall down from values, that strength goes away. Just like Arjuna, though he did not do anything wrong, but when after Krishna left, he was not having the same power as earlier. All power ultimately comes from the Supreme Lord. When the truth is forgotten, arrogance develops. When truth is remembered, devotion naturally arises. You Your insight fits. Yeah. The Lord can expand Himself and act through multiple manifestations and arrangements simultaneously in order to protect both the world and its devotees. No situation limits His ability to intervene. So we have another maybe 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes maximum. See, the Matsya Leela is not a distant mythology. Okay, it is a practical thing. We have to realize that this is okay. The reason in the beginning I told, right, this is the cusp, right. So basically, the way our technology to whatever we can comprehend how things are changing dramatically. What you believe in today might be totally different in what after 2 weeks, and again it may change after 2 weeks. When which firm, Google, OpenAI or Anthropic is going to release what, we don't know, with new capabilities, right. So that is how things are. But here, that is about only technology. But here, how the things unfolded in 7 days. And Satyavrata Muni didn't know. He told that what Krishna as Matsavatar, he told to him that already 75% of the earth is inundated. The place you are is safe right now, right? So meaning we didn't know what's going. He didn't know what's going on there, other places, the earth. Our intelligence is a gift. Our professional success is a gift. Our health and opportunities are a gift. Our access to spiritual teachings is a gift. All these gifts are based on, of course, on our karma. Right? Say, for example, Kohinoor diamond is placed in front of you. Right? You know that it's valuable, it's shining so bright. Right? But if same thing in place of you, there is a goldsmith. He would know the value of it more. He can tell immediately that it is a Kohinoor diamond. Right? It has dust on it, still he'll make out, we may not make out. We'll think some stone. Right? Same thing if a child is there, or say suppose an animal is there, it doesn't know anything about it. Right? Just like the example is Shamantakamani. The tiger which killed the what's his name? Satrajit. She didn't know the value of it, right? So like that, we don't know. So now this Bhagavad Gita is like more than a Kohinoor diamond for us, right? And we are tigers or goldsmith. We have to realize ourselves. We try to aspire to be a goldsmith, which is equal to a devotee, and try to get as much as possible to rectify and purify ourselves. That should be our goal. The question is not what we possess. The question is how we relate to what we possess. Right? So suppose I have a lot of things with me, but if I don't use them, what it's waste, right? So the other thing is all the abilities that we have should be treated as tools entrusted to us by Krishna to use them in his service. So just to conclude a little bit, I have a few more comparisons, but I have a conclusion about this. Arrogance destroys both the individual and the society, right? What happens, individuals, it's just like a memory leak, right? So individuals having arrogance is like a small memory leak, right? And over time, when it develops a lot of memory, it's like society. Again, an example is Epstein files. Humility attracts divine protection. Knowledge must be preserved and shared. And the Lord personally guides those who sincerely follow His instructions. When we protect spiritual knowledge and remain humble, instruments of the Lord Himself becomes our boat in every flood of our life. So this is very powerful. So suppose we protect spiritual knowledge and take shelter being humble. What happens? Lord Himself becomes our boat in every flood of our life. We may not even realize that flood is coming, but Krishna knows about it and he protects us. So now that is as of now the conclusions, but I have little comparisons, not comparisons but analogies which we can quickly go through. So if you look at Gajendra's story again, What was the Gajendra? Gajendra was having pride and arrogance, similar to Haigrava demon, but it was not as extreme as Haigrava demon, right? That is the reason after fighting for thousands of years, its pride reduced, its attachment reduced, and then it took the shelter of Krishna. So he was protected. Now we all have pride. Okay, we don't have pride, it's not true, right? We all have pride. Now we want to do penance and become like Hiranyakashipu or like Haigriva demon, or you want to become like Gajendra is our choice, right? How do you exercise that choice? With the free will. So which choice is ours? Krishna is giving all the knowledge. So that is one thing I want to point out, right? So pride, when you connect to Krishna and you go take shelter of him, pride collapses. Dependency, basically this is the story of Gajendra. Pride collapses, dependency awakens, dependency on Krishna. In surrender manifests, protection comes. Now, if you look at Pandavas and Kauravas, right? Pandavas are like are compared to like Satyavrata. Always, whatever power they have, still, see, do you think Pandavas had less capability than Duryodhanas or Kauravas? In no way, right? They were more powerful than them, but they had the humility, whereas Duryodhana did not have. So Kauravas are compared to Haigriva demon and Satyavrata to Pandavas. Both the Satyavrata and Pandavas, faithful to Bhagavan, willingness to follow guidance, ready to act as instructions, not controllers, whereas Duryodhana want to control. Satyavrata becomes the carrier of the Lord's plan for the next creation. The Pandavas became the carriers of the Lord's. And when you take Haigriva and Duryodhana both represent power without humility, intelligence without submission to Bhagavan, entitlement instead of gratitude. So that is one here. I have a few more things, I think. Okay. So now this all happened during the time of Swayambhu Manu. You know, the beautiful thing I saw, learned during when I was reading about it is, the next one was Vaivasvata Manu, who is the son of sun god. Okay? And that's no one other than Satyavrata Maharaj. So he was so Rajarishi, is a great person that he has been entitled as a Manu. So we stop here for today. Will have any questions?
So if you look into these dasavataras, only Matsavatar is the one which saved from inhalation. The rest are like killing the demons and protecting the humans and other stuff.
Kurmatara also.
Kurmatara is basically saved from Hiranyak.
For when the demons and the demigods, they're churning. They need for churning. They need support, right? For that, it was Sri Kurma.
Right. But all these are like not inhalation, right? Like completely taking away.
So it's like this, right? It's like if you take the whole kalpa, if you take one kalpa, and within that kalpa all the yugas. So this one definitely has a unique spot because it's between the kalpas, right? Whereas this Krishna avatar and then Rama avatar are per yuga. So that's a good point, and that is at the end of inundation or the pralaya.
Seems like Kalki is last and then Kalki is last and then it goes back to
Exactly.
whatever
If you are not
We'll stop this.
first kalpa,
Srini will stop this.
stop.
So any questions?